I think in a way it's not knowing when, but I've seen my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, so I've been lucky to see them. I mean, a lot of people don't have any family to help them, and that I've been extremely lucky. For 2 years, I thought there was something wrong. I thought it was just hemorrhoids, and it turned out I was wrong. So it's only about the last 4 or 5 weeks that it's got worse. I was very lucky to have the diagnosis quite quickly. To see my great-grandchildren, and that is lovely. And I'm very proud of Philip, what he's achieved over the years. Very proud.
So, can you tell me about when she got the diagnosis and what that diagnosis was?
So, Mum's been anemic for a couple of years. She's known to have got kidney failure, and she's been having iron transfusions, and I've asked her a few times across that time, did she want to know why she kept becoming anemic, and she said she didn't really want to know. And as we've talked about today, probably she thought that there's something wrong all the way across that time. And then she was getting a few more symptoms and was offered to find out whether she had any blood in her stools. So she did the test, which was positive. So she didn't want anything else done because she didn't really want to have any surgery. But there was an issue about what the diagnosis might be. So she did have a scan which showed a tumour of the large bowel. She went to see one of my colleagues who's a bowel surgeon, who said, does she want to have treatment? Does she want to have an operation? She said, I'm very old and I really don't want a colostomy. I wouldn't cope with it. Can I just leave things alone? And that was only a few weeks ago, so things have progressed very quickly to this point. She isn't eating at all now, and she's drinking a little bit, but she's not in pain, and she's really quite philosophical about what's going to happen.
I'm lucky because I've got Philip. In a way, I know what's going to happen, so I don't have to worry. It's just one of those things that's going to happen, and that's it. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no magic pill that's going to stop it.
We've talked about end of life and death and what was her wish, and she wasn't and isn't scared about dying. She's scared about the mechanism of how she dies, and not having control and being in a situation where she was a burden, is what she says about. She doesn't want to be a burden on anyone, and despite us all saying that isn't an issue, and she constantly says thank you when people have gone round or visit, or and we say that's actually what families do.
Were you able to talk about the diagnosis and actually the fact that she was dying?
So we've talked, as she's got older and frailer anyway, about where she thought that life was taking her. And she's had both hips replaced. She's had lots of stents into her arteries of her heart. So she's becoming less and less mobile and more dependent on daytime TV for her relaxation. So it's been really nice to have the option of coming into St Kentigern's hospice. It's been an absolute revelation. I mean, I thought I knew about hospices, but really I had no idea at how kind, and it's made a huge difference in relieving anxiety, not just of Shirley, but of the family as well, and I can't put a price on that.
And my partner, John, I mean, he's 90 in May. I mean, he's been extremely good and that, but I mean, he's old, and I mean, he couldn't cope with me, particularly like in the night or anything like that. So this is the best place, and this is absolutely first class, wonderful place. So I'm very, very lucky to got here. So.
And so was it quite a straightforward process then, in terms of her deciding that she wanted to come into a hospice rather than stay at home?
So initially she wanted to stay at home, but it became very quickly obvious that for her to stay at home she would need nighttime care as well. So over the space of a few days, she went from being relatively okay, and as long as she had help getting up, once she was up and dressed, that was fine. But her need to get up at night, with John being nearly 90 himself, that was never going to work. And the options about how to get care very quickly in the acute phase, you know, if you need care tonight or tomorrow, that's really difficult to do. She, as I've said before, has never wanted to be a burden on anyone, despite what we say. That's the way that she has had in her head for years and years. So she was always set on, you know, I'll go into a home if it's necessary. And therefore, when it became obvious to her that it was causing distress to John at home, it was an obvious, well, I need to be cared for somewhere.
I mean, John and I, we've been together 36 years, so it's been a very happy time. We've had holidays, 8 cruises, yeah, very, very happy.
It's a really strange time. It's like being a child with a mother again, but 60 years on. And it is really nice because we're having conversations with each other that I wouldn't have thought she was able to have. So she's not normally demonstrably affectionate, and yet she's being affectionate now to us and to my children and to my grandchildren, and she loves it. It's almost as if she's discovered the point of life at the point at which life is ending. So it's been a real beautiful time for us.
What actually matters most to you now that your mum's dying?
What we want most of all for her is to not be scared or frightened at that moment that leads up to her dying. What she wants to do, she wants to go to sleep one night and just not wake up in the morning. And she is very much on course for that. She understands the medications that there are available. In fact, she's not on very much medication at all. This has made a real difference. What I used to think was that if Mum died suddenly, I would have lots of loose ends and unanswered questions, because my perception in my head is that I had a very loving mother when we were tiny, and then she's had a hard life for a lot of it in between. So that kind of disappeared for a bit, and then I would be wondering what my mum was really like, or why she was like she was, why she had done some of the things that she'd done. And those have been closed off by having this time. So it's been absolute revelation from my point of view, and made what was potentially something incredibly difficult part of life. And that's been really important to me in understanding who and what I am as well.
Making sure John's looked after, seeing the family, that's about all.
So would you say that in her dying, it's actually given you your mum back?
That's absolutely the case, right? And it's just, I feel as if I've gone complete circle now, and that it can all happen. And in fact, actually, her body was wearing out already, but that bit of mum that will stay with me is a mum that I thought didn't exist. So, it's a particularly wonderful bit of life that's happened in really strange and odd circumstances. I would have cried, all right? I mean, up until now, right, I'd have been crying, but I'd have been crying not because of mum. I'd have been crying for what I was missing from mum. But it's actually, it makes me able to deal with it in a, this is actually part of life, not part of death.
There's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it. Just be calm and accept the condition and all the help that staff are giving you.